Before we really start getting into how to catalog, I want to give you a little bit of a note of a few of the nuances that you will need to know and kind of the mindset you will need to have when you start going into cataloging. So the situation right now is we search for the work record when going through the order, and we weren't able to find what we need, so we will have to create a new work record. Now, the most important mindset to actually have when looking at cataloging is I'm only really looking for the meat and potatoes. I want to be able to have enough information that it is searchable for anyone once we load it onto IMDid. So we don't have to worry about having 15 different subjects or having every single name that a work has been called. We just want to have the major name, and if it has a couple alternates that are pretty well known, maybe something in there. And really, you want to make sure that accuracy is the most important thing. So typos are bad. You want to make sure that it is accurate, even if that means that it's going to take you longer. I'm not going to look down on you because it takes you longer to do cataloging records. So really, what you want to do is just make sure that you have good information, good all around, and they don't have to be extremely full. However, I do want to make sure that you have all the information that you would use if you were studying for a test. So, who the agent was, agent being the artist, what the title is, when was it created, what was it created on, was it oil on canvas, was it chalk on pencil, if you can find measurements, great. I would love for you to have some measurements in there. What culture, those types of things. Whatever you would need to know to study for a test, that's what I'm looking for. The other mindset to actually have too is you want to, when analyzing an image, you really want to know why it is being cataloged. For instance, let's say we have a picture, a photograph of the Empire State Building. This was requested by an architectural professor, and it's by a photographer that you probably haven't heard about. More than likely, the work that you're going to be creating or linking to is for the Empire State Building, because that's really what the emphasis of the image is. However, let's say that image of the Empire State Building was taken by a very famous photographer, and it was requested by a photography major or a photography professor. Well, at that point in time, more than likely the photograph itself should be the work, even though the Empire State Building is the subject of the work. The photograph, we know who the photographer was, we know what the title was, we know when it was done. Or at least we know that that is the emphasis. So when you're thinking about what to catalog in these images, you really want to figure out what's truly important. Since all the images are photographs, most of the time, 95% of the time, these photographs are just a way to document, and we're really trying to get to what the actual root, whether it's the building, the painting, whatever. We're just talking in a world of derivatives. So if you know that we just want the meat and potatoes, and that we want to make sure that we know what we're cataloging, what is truly important, then you really will be all set. Now, a couple of little nuances throughout these tabs that I will mention, and I'll just kind of mention when we actually go into it, is especially in locations. Now, let's say you get into a time where you're creating something such as the creation of Adam within the Sistine Chapel. The Sistine Chapel itself is a built work. It is an architectural piece. So at that point in time, the creation of Adam is also a very important piece. So technically, there will be two work records for it. The work record for the um, location, the Sistine Chapel, it would be where the painting is held, but it's very important on its own right. So what would happen is when you are creating the record for the Sistine Chapel, you would click this box right here that says built work yes. By saying that's a built work, it also kind of mixes in with the repositories. So when you are creating the record for the creation of Adam, then you'd be able to say it's inside the Sistine Chapel. So the built works are just kind of one of these little things that if you're talking about cataloging a building, always click the built work, because sometime you might actually have to create something inside of it, whether it was a painting, a mural, a sculpture, an architectural piece, a garden. So at that point in time, when you're creating a record for architecture, always signify that it is a built work for later. So those are a couple of key ideas. The next one, we're really going to dive into it, and hopefully we'll be able to get through one full record so that you have something to reference, and we'll get it all done within 10 minutes.